Hello, everybody. I'm Josh Barley with NASA Public Affairs. I'm joined now by a very special guest that I'm actually pretty excited to talk to today. This is Lonnie Schmitt. He is a propulsion officer here inside Mission Control, and he is celebrating his 100th shuttle flight that he has worked. So we're going to chat with him now about his experience. Now, Lonnie, the crew called down earlier today and said some pretty remarkable words about you and your career. How did that feel?
It felt great. I wish I could remember what they said. Quite honestly, I was surprised today on what was going on. I really had little or no clue that something was going on until I walked in this morning, and the console was decorated with some balloons and a great big huge sign celebrating my 100th flight. It was an extremely special day this morning.
Now, you've worked 100 flights. You worked STS 1, the first flight of Columbia.
STS 1 in the midship position.
Okay. Now, what is that? That's the back room, right?
That's the back room. And it was an uncertified position. It was basically setting up all the limits on the consoles for the mixer and the front room, the thicker.
Right.
And then I was certified as entry consumables on STS 2. And then I continued on certification in the back room positions, both ascent, entry, and orbit. And then I was selected in 1984 to start training for, actually late 83, to start training for a front room position. Okay. And I certified in the front room in January of 84 and flew my first mission in February of 84, STS 61B.
Now, during that history, you've seen quite a bit. I mean, you were there for the first flight of Columbia, like we talked about. You worked STS 6, which is the first flight of Challenger. Right. You also worked the first flight of Atlantis, which is, this is sort of the bookend of that because it's scheduled to be the last flight of Atlantis. And, you know, how does it feel? And does it seem like it was that long?
It doesn't seem that long, and at the time you're going through the missions, you don't really realize how many missions you're working.
Right.
You're focused on that particular mission, making sure you get everything done for that particular mission. You get it done, you kind of have a sense of accomplishment, and you start working on the next one.
It's a familiar feeling.
Yes, very familiar.
Are there any missions that stand out in your mind? You know, if you look back on your career, what?
Well, of course, STS 1.
Yeah.
That stands out in my mind because it was the first time the vehicle had flown. The first time a manned spacecraft had flown when it had not flown unmanned. And we weren't really sure how everything was going to perform, and it turned out it flew like a champ.
It's, you know, these flight controllers here, you know, not only prompt your position, but the others, I mean, they know these systems backwards and forwards. I mean, that's the key to being successful, you know, working in this room. You know, after this many years, are there still surprises that you see, or are you still learning, or you know?
I learn something on every flight. Every flight is different. Every vehicle is actually different. Each one of the vehicles has its own little peculiarities that you learn about. So, yeah, we're still learning, and we'll continue to probably learn until the final wheel stops.
Now, for the people out there that don't know what propulsion is, I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. But talk a little bit about all the systems that you have to oversee for somebody who is not familiar with the shuttle.
It's the onboard propulsion system, the reaction control system, and the OMS engines. We've got the forward RCS module. We've got the two OMS pods on the back end that have the OMS engines and the RCS thrusters. We use the OMS engine for the large translation burns, including the orbit. The primary RCS thrusters are used for the smaller translations, and then we have the little verniers that are used for attitude control. So we got helium tanks for pressurization. We got the propellant tanks that hold the propellant. We got a lot of plumbing and valves that allows us to move the propellant to the locations we want to use it. And then we got heaters that keep everything at its operating temperatures. In addition to that, we interface with the software on board. And one of our biggest jobs is to manage the propellant during the mission.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that we have everything set aside for all the maneuvers that are planned during the mission. Plus, you always got to make sure you got the propellant to get them home.
That's important.
That's the most important thing.
It's a budgeting process,
right? It's a budgeting process.
Yeah.
And we spend some time during the mission replanning, like we're doing right now. We have some things that are going to come up post-undocking. As soon as we get those plans finalized, we'll put that into our propellant budget, and we'll be ready to do it.
So whenever you look back on all the missions that you worked, what, you know, is there one that stands out more than the others other than the STS 1? I mean, is there a certain crew or a certain mission that...
Probably STS 79 was one in that I was the lead on that flight. It was a mirror flight. and we had negative margins on our propellant when we lifted off, and we had to do some kind of creative techniques, slowing some of the maneuver rates down, but we managed to get everything done, and it was a successful mission. The first truss flight we flew up on STS, whatever it was, that took up the first truss. That one was, we had a lot of difficulty getting that first solar array out.
Yeah.
And that was a little difficult in making sure we had enough propellant for that one. But we managed to again pull it off.
Yeah.
So, and then it was an early flight, STS-42. We had a lot of thermal problems because it's a long duration flight and a lot of bad attitudes from a thermal standpoint.
Yeah. And one thing about Lonnie that all the flight directors talk about is that Lonnie can pretty much pull up. He's got an encyclopedic memory of what the flights were, what the problems were. Can almost tell you every single one of them, which is pretty impressive, to say the least. How does it, how does it feel to sort of come to the close of? I mean, this is the last flight that we have. Atlantis is flying its last mission. So have you kind of started to reflect on that?
A little bit, in that it seems kind of strange after doing this for 30 years that it seems to be an end to the shuttle program, and we've never had to deal with that in the past. You always had another one coming up down the road, so it's a little different.
So have you actually been able to see a launch? I mean, you've been pretty much here the whole time.
Actually, I have seen two launches, STS-51F way back in whenever it was, and then I was lucky enough to be selected to go down for STS-102 launch, the Space Flight Awareness Award winner.
It's actually something to see.
Yes,
yeah, I've been lucky to see a couple myself. It's something that you really can't explain to people if you haven't seen it. So.
Yep.
Well, Lonnie, it's an honor to work with you. I mean, it really is.
I've enjoyed working with you on this mission.
Yeah,
it's a couple of the other ones.
The funny thing about Lonnie is that Lonnie's actually worked quite a number of the same missions that I've worked. Depending on there's 3 different orbit teams. There's Orbit 1, Orbit 2, and Orbit 3, and it seems like Lonnie is always my prop officer.
And I'm sorry for some of the bad hours that we've had to work.
Hey, John, why did he come to NASA? Why did he stay to this spot?
Yeah, whenever you look back on your career, what you came from Sherman, Texas, right?
Sherman, Texas, up in North Texas. I grew up on a farm, raising sheep.
Did you think you'd come to NASA?
Actually, no.
Really?
I was interested in aviation. I realized that was back in the 50s.
Yeah.
NASA was just getting started. And then I went to the University of Oklahoma. And that's yeah, I'm a student. And got interested in aerospace, got my degree in aerospace, and was following the NASA program. Got a good job offer from McDonnell in St. Louis, and went up to work on Gemini.
Back in the Gemini program, right?
Gemini program, and I was there for a little over a year. Met my future-to-be wife, and then one day the phone rang, and I picked it up, and they said, "You're going to the Cape next week." And I backed up and went to the Cape for 6 months, and then liked it, and ended up staying to the end of Gemini.
Yeah.
Of course, I also got married in there too.
That's good. That's good.
And sent my wife to Florida.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. Then I kind of took a little bit of a detour there and worked on some missile programs with McDonnell, and kept in contact with some of my friends that stayed in space. I found out there was an opening down here. Called them up, got the job interview, and next thing I know, I'm here.
And you've been here ever since then?
Been here ever since.
Is it still fun?
Oh, yes.
Is it?
It's still fun.
That's I think that's the question we always get to. Is it how cool is it to work at NASA? And it never gets boring.
It never gets boring. The neatest thing about this job is when you come in the morning, you may have a few things planned for that day, but some other things are going to come up. You never do the same thing day in and day out.
Yeah. Well, congratulations again. I mean, I know it's a big mission for you, and we celebrate it with you. And congratulations once again. We're going to take a look back now at Atlantis' career. We've been mentioning throughout this mission that this is Atlantis' final scheduled flight, and Lonnie's working it. He, of course, worked at Atlantis' first mission as well. So here's a look back at Atlantis' 25-year career here on NASA television.